Israel launching a limited direct military attack on Iran early this morning, marking the latest escalation between the two countries. This comes days after Iran carried out its first ever direct attack on Israel. For more on how this impacts the defense bills and D.C. policy, let's bring in Ed Mills, Washington policy analyst at Raymond James. Ed, we're going to start right there because it has been a very intense week from a geopolitical perspective. But one of the things it has done is thrust back into the limelight in Congress these foreign aid packages, which seem to have been picked apart and separated out, but very similar to what we've seen proposed in the past, starting to make their way little by slowly through the House. Is the expectation here that these are finally going to cross the finish line?
Morgan, these bills are going to pass. They're going to pass overwhelmingly. They're going to head over to the Senate after this weekend. To me, it's really a question of when the Senate is going to vote on this. Chuck Schumer could bring the Senate back as early as next week. They're scheduled to be on recess until May 1st. But I think the expectation has to be at this point, Morgan, that come early May, these bills are signed into law. And as you highlighted, essentially what is going to Joe Biden's desk is what passed months ago in the Senate, plus a couple of other provisions which are really important, but it's not that big of a change to what we've just been waiting on the House to move for.
Yeah, so you're talking about funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel, funding for Taiwan, a few other things. Largely, this benefits the U.S. defense industrial base as well. But curiously, and perhaps not unsurprisingly, knowing that this has happened many times with many other types of legislation in the past, TikTok folded into this set of bills as well. Is TikTok a done deal in terms of a ban or forced selling?
Yeah, Morgan, the clock is ticking on TikTok. And I think as we think about this, this is going to pass as well. This is going to get signed into law. It's really just a matter of time before TikTok is going to be forced to divest from their Chinese ownership. When I talk to contacts and all of the conversations I've had with clients here at Raymond James, is that it's actually pretty unlikely the Chinese government is going to allow for that divestiture to occur. So when you look at the details that have changed here, is instead of having a 6-month time frame, it's going to be a year-long time frame. So this is going to be a 2025 event versus something that happens before the election. That's important in terms of who gets upset about this before November. But importantly, this provision also allows the president to ban other apps. And we've seen movement this week as well to limit the influence and the profitability of other Chinese-based apps through what's known as a de minimis exception. So add to the TikTok list apps like Temu, WeChat, Pinduoduo, Shein, a lot of things that we get plenty of Facebook ads and other ads for. A lot of that operation is also likely to be very impacted by what passes this weekend.
Ed, what is it about the geopolitics of the moment that have allowed this logjam in Congress to loosen up? And does it say anything about what else might happen in Washington between now and November?
John, I think it was inevitable before we were able to get this bill to the president's desk, because in D.C., one of the most difficult things to do is just be opposed to something. You have to offer up a solution. And if you're not offering up an alternative, ultimately the solution that had already passed the Senate overwhelmingly on a bipartisan basis is what you're left with. But to your point about what else is left, what we're seeing is probably the one true bipartisan issue in D.C. is getting tough on China. So I mentioned those de minimis bills. We're also very likely to see tariffs in the next couple of weeks on semiconductors, EV, solar. That's going to be supported by Congress. We could see other anti-China bills because Speaker Johnson, he finds that when he puts that on the floor, they're near unanimous votes. And not only TikTok, but also a data broker security bill against China is in this larger package. So look for those anti-China bills to be top of the agenda, very much live balls here in this Congress.
So does this strengthen Speaker Johnson, or does it strengthen Donald Trump because it took a visit to his place for all of this to get momentum?
Well, John, let's be clear. I think the reason why the House waited as long as they needed to pass this bill is because of the opposition from former President Trump. And so Speaker Johnson did go to Mar-a-Lago, try to secure his base. But if there is a movement to oust him, which is still also a very live ball, it is going to be Democrats that save him. When we look at the final vote, it's going to be Democrats that put this over the top. So from a political perspective, I think you'd have to add a victory closer to the Democratic column than the Republican column in this fight.